Hi, this is Shivali Bhammer. I am on the Voice It Out podcast. It's banging, so get involved.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Hi, Amrita.
Hi, guys. Hi, Shyama.
How's it going?
All good. On a rainy summer's day in London. But I'm excited about today's episode.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. We have a fantastic guest with us. We're going to get stuck right in. Guys, I'm sure most of you are aware that me and Amrita do we like music, we like dancing, you know, we're
Bollywood heads.
We are Bollywood heads, absolutely. But anytime we look and we search for anything in our algorithms, on Instagram especially, people just come up. And today's guest, oh my god, you guys are going to be blown away with how much she's done and she's doing. Oh my god, it's incredible. Her name is Shivali Bhammer. She is a singer, a dancer, a motivational speaker. She was signed by Sony Music at the age of 22.
Wow.
Yep. Then, she's got 2 albums.
Yes, I've listened to them. I have.
Honestly,
how amazing are these albums?
So amazing. And it was just like, they will sell out apparently.
So you're talking about the 2 devotional albums.
2 devotional albums.
Right? And she's got another one though, but the devotional ones.
And it's the Bhajan Project and the Bhajan Project 2 are the 2 albums. And the other album is Urban Temple.
Should we just say a quick hello to her before you begin?
I have so much more. But yes, let's say hi. Hi, Shivali!
Hello, nice to be here. By the way, all 3 of them are devotional, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I haven't heard Urban Temple. I
because Eros are having issues with Spotify, so actually all your Bollywood shouldn't really be available on Spotify. Did you see that they sort of disappeared for a while?
Oh my god,
yeah. So that album is the only one that I did with Eros. The other 2 are Sony Music.
Okay.
And that one's disappeared from Spotify. But it's on Apple Play and iTunes and everywhere else.
Sony Music, Eros, guys, I'm just gonna hone into my futuristicness of she might be a playback singer for films one. I don't know.
But that's if she's
I would
aspiring
do
to
that.
Oh, okay, maybe not.
I want to be on the stage.
Oh, there you go. That's even better.
Someone. No way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I got called out in a newspaper for making that comment where I said, I'll never sing for Katrina Kaif or something like that. And I did not mean it the way that it came out. All I meant was that I'm a performer, so I would like to not be behind the scenes.
Oh, absolutely. Make yourself right there in the front.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I've got to ask you one thing, because your devotional albums that you have, are you religious yourself? Did you kind of think, I want to do a modern take on kind of the well-known devotional songs that are out there? Or was it something that maybe kind of came to you because you are religious?
So I would say it's a combination of the 2. So obviously born and raised in the UK, in London, you are a confluence of many different cultures, influences, upbringing. And so I had a very British upbringing, and I listened to a lot of R&B, a lot of hip hop, acoustic guitar, played classical, Western classical instruments. And so that was my influence musically. And Bollywood, of course.
Of course.
And then, I am deeply religious. However, I don't define religion perhaps in the conventional sense. I'm not ritualistic, but I am into Vedanta and sort of Eastern philosophy in terms of a yogic perspective.
Okay.
So yes.
So how did just interesting, because it's like, how did that journey start for you? Because obviously you have all those influences from being in this country. Yeah, how did the the devotional side, the spiritual and devotional side, and going into making that a part of your sort of career now, how did that journey start for you?
Well, I think when I was growing up, I always sang devotional music, mainly for fun. And I sang to myself. I did not have any plans to be a singer at all. Either I was going to go into banking or I was going to go into the arts, but it was going to be on the acting, dancing, sort of dramatic theatre arts, theatrical sort of side. And what happened was I was sitting with my Raki brother Arjun, who's a very well-known singer, and we were maybe 15 years old, and we were chilling on a Saturday. It was probably raining, as it is now, and I was making him miss cricket practice, which is what he always complains about. And I played him the Hanuman Chalisa, and I said, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And he said, "Well, not really interesting. Can't identify with it. You know, he's not religious." And I said, "Okay, well, how do we make this something that you would listen to, regardless of what it means or whether you're affiliated with it or not?"
Oh, okay.
And so we recreated it. We recreated the Hanuman. So a lot of the songs you hear on my first album, The Bhajan Project, they were made before the age of 18. Not that version, obviously.
Okay,
yeah.
When I got signed, Sony Music was like, "You better redo this." Because this is not going to fly. But a lot of that was created on a really old system, sitting in a bedroom, those first drafts. And I did it because I wanted to see if I could make something that the younger generation or the British Asian generation who were not sitting in India could identify and listen to something that was sounded great to their ears.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand that, because I feel like in this day and age, religion for us is very different to what maybe our parents or grandparents' generation kind of sees religion as. We kind of maybe see more as tradition than religion.
Yeah.
And then I have definitely a lot of questions about certain religious things,
Yes.
which I'm sure many people do. So I just wanted to say that, like, you signed by Sony India at the age of 22. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And like, I feel like, for me, when I was 22, I felt like I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do.
Wow.
But this is so amazing that you were so young and you got signed, for your music as well.
I think it's God's grace, to be honest. I think I was very lucky. Life is persistence, discipline, talent, and then it's just a bit of magic, really, right? And I think all of those things aligned for me. I think I came up with an idea that was truly unique. So when I pitched it to Sony Music, and I just happened to be in Mumbai on holiday. In fact, I was meant to be going into trading. I'd left that. I decided to be a journalist. I was a financial journalist at the time, and I was interviewing with Bloomberg over there. And it was completely random that I happened to get this meeting with Sony Music. And I remember speaking to the head of Sony Music for India at the time, who now sits in New York. And I basically said to him, "Look, I've created something that does not exist. This is a completely new product. It's niche. It's R&B urban bhajans. It's never been done before. But I think the stats was something like 80% of Indian listeners listen to religious music. Why are we not giving God something that sounds better than just always being..." And not that traditional bhajans don't sound great. They do. Right, but why is it that you have an entire orchestra for Bollywood and you put so much effort into Bollywood music, and what bhajans, it's just like a harmonium and a tabla and then that's it? Yeah. Surely we can reproduce it to another level. And he said, "Do you have a demo?" I said, "Absolutely." I did not have one. He goes, "Right, we've got a meeting tomorrow." And I went down, and it's funny because I was just with Arjun for dinner 2 days ago, and we were reliving this story. Because he's like, "How did I send those tracks to you?" And I said, "Well, you send them one at a time, and I had to burn it onto a CD."
Oh my god!
And
do you remember those days?
Yeah. And we didn't even have smartphones. I was like, "Arjun, I went down to one of those booths, where you have to make an international call and you dial it up." And,
oh my god!
And he's like, "Come on, you did not do that." I'm like, "Yes, I did. Like, this is how we were communicating at the time."
Okay.
And I walked into that meeting with this demo from songs we'd made when we were 15, and they said, "This is very bad, very very bad. The singing very bad.
Oh no!
Production very very bad." I'm like, "Yeah, but the idea."
I was going to say, they got the idea.
Really good. And they were like, "We'll let you know in a few weeks." I'm like, "No, you've got 3 days. You have to let me know in 3 days."
Do you know what? I love that the fact that you were in your early 20s.
That's what I mean, yeah.
That confidence of like, no, I don't care who you are. You are going on my time. You are going to listen to me. It's just, but I think in order, like, it kind of now makes sense as to, like, just the way that you were so sure of yourself. I mean, it's incredible. I think it's so inspiring, and I wish I was more like that and be like, you know, honestly, oh my God, I can't even imagine what that must have been like.
I was just a cocky little kid. I mean, that was it. I think that was it.
Definitely worked.
I was like, look, what have you got to lose, right, in life? And you have to try. And they, you know, I have to give it to Sony Music because they're a wonderful label, and they believed in me.
Yeah.
They knew I had to retrain my voice. They knew I had to reproduce the entire album, but they believed in my belief in my own self. Yeah. Right, and they saw it. They saw what I saw, and I walked out with a record deal for Bhajans, and nobody else had that. I think ever. So it was definitely a first.
Yeah, absolutely. And how good, like, you know, that kind of set you off, right? In a way, it kind of, and that's a really good set off. Like, it's a massive one.
It's huge.
Yeah, which has its pros and cons, if I'm honest. Right, launching that at that level when you're that young, because honestly, then to maintain that level of achievement and success, I've constantly been chasing that high throughout my life, and it's very, very difficult.
So I was going to ask you that actually, because you kind of promote consciousness kind of within oneself in your music. I was going to say, at that age, was that strength of feeling there at that age, or do you think it's grown in the years that you've grown older? Because personally, for me, I feel like the older I get, the more confident I am, because I'm just so comfortable being myself. You don't need to be someone else. You can be yourself. And I think in this generation, especially people who have grown up with social media, find that quite difficult. But how did you find that? Because obviously you were in your early 20s.
Yeah, I think confidence is something I think I've always had. I think it's just part of my personality, my DNA. I haven't always had great self-esteem. The two are very different, right? So I would say, yes, confidence to walk into a room, to claim something, to try something. I have a fearless nature. However, I have had to rebuild my self-esteem because I haven't always had good boundaries. I haven't had decent levels of self-love. I've been very hard on myself. I've, had sort of, I wouldn't call it an inferiority complex, but I've definitely put a lot of people on pedestals and put myself down. And so I think that's something I think age does. It basically closes that gap, and you have to put in the work to do it. But you're closing that gap between just material confidence, superficial confidence, artificial, whatever words you want to use, of that sort of veneer, is that the word? Or that outward confidence, and close that gap with true inner self-belief and understanding.
It's true.
And that's what I've been doing over the years.
I mean, that's an amazing way to put it. It's really like, and I think that's something where, even though your journey is very different, I think a lot of people can relate to that completely.
Absolutely.
Because it kind of just makes me like, what I'm thinking is, you are sort of, in theory, you went to India not knowing that this was going to happen. Took a chance and it worked out. But a lot of influences are around other people. So, it was like, when this happened, how was that received by your friends or your family, especially with family, where they're like, but singing is not something, singing and dancing and doing that, because I know I got it a lot. Singing and dancing isn't a career. Singing and, no, and also you were saying you had like jobs lined up, like banking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with all of that?
Yeah, it's so... I had an economics and philosophy degree, and the first place I stepped foot into was a Goldman Sachs trading floor. And
amazing.
My dad was kind of like, when I told him I got signed, he's like, what? you're gonna do what? I'm like, I'm gonna sing bhajans and release bhajan albums. And I think he definitely was a little perplexed by my decision making. My mum's a little bit more like gone with the wind, like, woo, sure, okay, do what you like. But she loves the arts. She put me into the arts, at a very young age. Look, I think people had mixed views, but on the whole, everybody was elated around me. People couldn't believe it, right? They could not believe that a major label had signed me to do devotional music.
Yeah.
And my school friends will tell you, they couldn't believe it because they didn't even think I could sing. They were like, and I'll always quote my friend Denise, she's a really close friend of mine from school, and she's like, but Shiv, singing is like your fourth talent. Like it's not even your best talent, and even then we're not convinced you can sing.
So what was your best talent?
I think she would probably say dance is number one. I'm trying to remember the order that she says it in, but I think dance is number one. Maybe writing or public speaking was number two, or acting. Like it would be one of those.
Yeah.
And then it would be acting, and then I think the fourth was singing. Yeah. So.
I'm just multi-talented, and now she's like great at all of them.
No, there's always someone better than you. Yeah, there always is, right?
I like that you say that, because I feel like even in today's age, I don't think people kind of see that as real. They just see themselves, and they don't realise that someone might be younger, just more talented, or just have better luck.
But it's
also, you get what I mean?
There is always, right? And
Absolutely.
like I remember I was sitting in Luxembourg with my best friend of 28 years, and she has three kids now.
Oh, wow.
And we were watching the J-Lo documentary.
Yeah.
And she looks at me and she's like, oh my God, Shivs, you're exactly like J-Lo. J-Lo can sing, dance, act. Like, you've got the same kind of thing. And I'm like, but I'm not. Like, the reality is J-Lo is worth like X million fans with this brand. And then there's Shivali, artist of the Bhajan Project. Like, I was like,
Shivali, there's still time.
There's still time.
No,
but do you know what? That does actually remind me. I can't remember which. I think it was Joe Lycett. I saw a comedy show. I think it was Joe Lycett, where he said his auntie must have said to him, "You've got the same hours as Beyonce," and he's like, "Yeah, but I don't have the same resources. So it's different."
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, this whole concept of like, there's always someone better. Yeah, absolutely there is. But I think it's what on the flip side, there's also understanding that there is still space for everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be at different levels, and everyone's going to have their own path. But being allowed to be in that space and creating that space for everyone else, it becomes less about, because I can imagine, especially being at such a young age and in an impressionable age, where I wouldn't be surprised if your mind was like, okay, I've got to do this and I've got to do this and I've got to do this, and if it doesn't work, it's going to affect, like, I know for a fact that when I was 20, it was like, if I had one tiny glitch in something that I was, veering towards, it would be like, oh, I'm not good enough for this, and I have to just, so like when it came to things like things that didn't go your way in the way that you wanted, how did you deal with it then, and how are you dealing with that now in terms of the way you've learned to develop in your craft?
Do you know what? In that respect, I don't think I've changed much, because I always believed it'll come. It might not come now, and it might not come in the way that I expected it. But I believe in this phrase that in life you should leave room to be surprised. Just leave that room. And as long as you keep trying, something is going to hit. I'm a bit like that gambler who's just like, but I do it with life. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to throw something here. Okay, I'm going to throw that dart. Okay, something. Eventually it's going to hit.
Yeah.
Right? But if you do it, and not in that complete random way that I've illustrated, but if you do it with sort of discipline, and you're dedicated, and you have genuine passion and love for the things that you're doing, and you're doing it with the right motivation. So not for fame, not to make a quick buck, not, oh God, I sound so American now. Anyway, quick dollar, not for any of those reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're doing it simply because you love to do it, right? I would sit in my bedroom in New York and I would just write a rap and, just play around. Or I entered a random competition and I couldn't find a play for this competition, so I decided to write one. And that ended up winning a couple of awards. Like, I didn't think about it, right? I wasn't like, hey, I've got to get this. Hey, I've got to win this. Hey, I've got to be recognized for that. No, I did it because I had fun doing it. I'm all about the process. And then the end results will speak for themselves. And if they don't, that's only because there's another door that's going to open for you. But the doors will open. You just have to trust in it, in the process. And you have to believe it. So much of this is down to belief. And I know people might roll their eyes at that, but I was just at business school and they were teaching us that research shows that belief can influence outcome. It just can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is so true. So like, obviously, giving you a little bit of our history. So we obviously were writing for a publication, a Bollywood kind of showbiz publication. And we started this podcast and it's completely new to us. Like, we've not explored this medium. Shyama is a podcast listener. I'm not that much of a podcast listener either. So I've gone completely blind. I've gone completely blind into this different kind of medium. And I literally put up a post actually only yesterday about how difficult I find it, or have found it recently, and how challenging it's been to just keep going, as you say, and just take that chance every day or in every episode or when we're planning or whatever it is, and not think about the outcome, because obviously we've come from like a online publication where you see the results straight away. But it's the same as social media, right? Social media is like, it's just validation. It's true, but it's the validation that people need these days is so instant, and I felt that, and I thought to myself, why am I feeling like that? I've come from an age where the internet didn't even exist. Do you see what I mean? But how, like, in this day and age, I feel like we're all like that, don't we?
We
feel
are,
like we want it
absolutely.
instantly.
But the thing is,
and it's
like,
a really bad place to be, I think.
With the podcast, what it is because obviously, like, before we started this, I was kind of trying to research, okay, how are these podcasts doing it? Yeah. And I realised we've come from media where there's generally this is how you do things, whereas podcasting is completely different. There are people who haven't even got a social media page. There are people who've it's literally their podcast and all of a sudden they've got these listeners. Or, there's, and then there are others who are doing similar things to us where we're on social media and we're doing all these little things. And I was like, I can't seem to pinpoint one thing to be like, okay, this is what we do and this is how you do it, for especially for this. So it's one of those things where I think, from what you were saying, we really tried to research and figure out how to do it. But it's just something where at the end of the day, we just enjoy doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's just so much fun to do. Like, okay, it's hard work, and I remember messaging Amrita about, I can't remember what, I think it was trying to figure out a post or something like that. I was getting really stressed out, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to put this in, this has to be my priority. And I remember Amrita messaging you back going, no, it doesn't.
No, it absolutely.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Chill out. The reason why we got into this was that we enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Don't make it into take a step back. And it was one of those things where I'm like, oh no, hold on. I did this because I wanted to get into something with my best friend and just do something for the enjoyment of doing it and get our voices out there.
Precisely, yeah. And I think for me, it's the beauty of the conversation. Even if we were just talking to each other in the first season, now we have guests. But I think even in the industry, so I wanted to ask you actually about the music industry at that time. Like you said, like, if that was your fourth talent, just to quote your friend, if that was your fourth talent, and no one sort of knew you as a build-up of someone who's musical, or your name might have been out there as a performer or something, how different is that now?
Yeah, it's a really, firstly, it's a really saturated market now, right? There's not much space. yes, there's space in that everybody can become a star now. You have a YouTube person, someone's a star on TikTok, someone's a star on Instagram. But actually, what you're seeing is that each person gets tiny amount of attention, right?
Yeah.
And so it's very, very hard to make a name for yourself. And it's always been hard. The arts has always been extremely difficult. And there are so many talented musicians and artists out there. You know, my singing teacher, I have a singing teacher. She is fabulous. Her voice is 100 times better than mine. She's the voice of an angel. And I always think, you know, yes, I'm a singer, but actually I really just got very lucky with timing. It's not because I'm insanely talented. Yes, I've got a sweet voice that suits Budgeons.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
do.
That's what I got told, right? It wasn't so much that I sound like
more than sweet, honestly.
But I think it suits that kind of song.
It suits what I do, right? And at that point in time, it was a miracle if you got signed. But then once you got signed, the PR was traditional PR. The promoting was through, you know, newspapers, magazines, radio interviews, doing live performances, all traditional media, right? Instagram didn't even exist when my first album came out. Yeah. And you had the joy of holding a physical CD. And I would go to stores, whether it was in South Africa or the UK or New York City or, you know, across India. I would see my poster out there, you know, in the window. And I remember walking into a music shop and they had all my albums stacked. And I took one and I held it, and someone was taking a photo of me, and the man goes, "Oh, ma'am, you're not allowed to do that. Like, this is a really random." No, there was no social media, right? It was random. No, it was like, why are you taking a picture? Now it's like, why am I not taking a picture everywhere?
It's true. That's so funny.
And I was like, oh. He's like, just buy the album. It's a really good album. He's like,
thanks. Was your face on it?
And I was like, it's me.
Yeah,
but I don't really look that similar to my album cover on the first album. So that was how it was. And now, when my third album came out, The Passion Project 2, which is confusing because it's called The Passion Project 2, but it's actually my third album. But when that came out this year, it was a strange feeling because no physical CD, nothing, no product for me to hold, and everything is just promoted via Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and it is really hard for an artist because you have worked so hard. You've put your soul into this music, and it's like promoted one day and then it's gone, right? And people are asking me, "Hey, when's your next album coming out?" I'm like, dude, live this album. Like, live the album.
Really? You were asked that when the album was coming out? Was the next one coming?
Now people are asking me, right? It came out in Feb.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just came out. Like, I remember when 8701 by Usher came out, and I went to the album signing at HMV on Oxford Street.
Oh my god!
Yes, he said I was very cute. And
no way.
Yes, and
those are good memories.
Yeah, so good memories, right? But I lived that album.
Yeah.
For ages.
Yeah, it's true. Some albums are like that.
You're supposed to live albums.
Do you know what, I'm actually reliving his Confessions album. I'm going to be
honest. Yeah, a lot of people are reliving Confessions.
It's after he did that live session. He did a live session somewhere. Okay. But it's true. Oh my god, like I remember, I think I still have my CD, and it's something that is like, if it was in like a vault, it's like, you've got that, and it's the actual physical product of this is what I've got. And for you, I'm like, you know, it must be like, where's your? It's an achievement, but where is the physical?
Where is it?
You know?
Exactly.
But also, someone gave me a CD once from a concert. It was a producer or something of, I don't know what it was. But anyway, he goes to me, "Can I give you a CD? Do you have a CD?" And I was like, "Yeah, I play CDs in my car. My car is not very, very new. Like, it's new, but it's not that new." Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, great! I'm going to give you a CD." And I was like, "Okay, great." But again, like now that you're right, that definitely you don't have that now because you just plug something in.
And also, like, I just don't believe. I mean, you should definitely stop me because I was speaking about this because I can go on and on. Yeah. But I just do not believe in the way social media is.
No,
I am so annoyed with having to post. Like, I just hate doing it, and I always have to do it. a post will only do well if it's me. I'm not even that hot. I'm like, who wants to see me all the time?
I'm gonna be honest. When I was on your social media page, I was on there for a while. So please, I loved it.
You have a stalker in house.
Do you know what? I love females because
Honestly,
I just don't want like all the creepy men.
the creepy,
and
it's
like,
that.
oh, sweet babies.
Oh,
God. I'm
God.
like, please stop. Like,
Yeah.
this is not, and I just, and who wants to know about my life all the time? I mean, this is so boring. People should just be living their lives.
Yeah.
I find it really weird that we have to do this. And I will get texts from my marketing team being like, you're not posting enough, and
Oh God.
you know, you haven't put a picture up of yourself. And I'm like, I look the same every day.
But it doesn't feel authentic as well, does it? It's like,
real.
you know,
And
it's just, you know.
I'm just not that girl.
No.
But
You know,
sometimes there's
and-
nothing to say as
No,
well. Like,
yeah.
what are you going to do? Put a poster for what?
Exactly. And
Hi, here's me today.
exactly. But you know, some people dress up.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this. This is new information that I received 2 days ago, where people dress up, head to toe, makeup, like full, put a sari on, nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Just
Just
to
for
take
content.
the picture.
Just for content.
And
yeah.
then, I must be lazy.
No.
Because that is not the kind of content creation I can do. I will write you a
exhausting.
poem, I'll write you a play, I'll write you a script, I will rap for you, I'll sing for you. I cannot do that. I cannot
It
dress
is,
up
yeah,
to take a
it is
picture.
about, but at the moment, you're right, it is about anyone who's a name or wants to be a name to just be present on social media. It's just...
Do you find that, because you you travel quite often, you travel a lot, and I think this goes for anything that you do, whether it's being part of the music industry, whether it's part of, you know, your motivational speaking, or even like using social media and doing that. How have you found that it's different from like everywhere else compared to like being here where you live, for instance? Like, is there a difference in the different industries, and like, what has been your main sort of like, oh, you've thought, oh, hold on, that's different, that's something that I'm not used to?
I don't know. I think well, maybe I'm slightly confused by the question. In terms of industry, do you mean like...
Okay, so in terms, let's say the music industry, for
Okay.
instance, like, you know, it's Sony Music in India, but you live here.
Mhm.
But I'm sure that there's been times where you've gone over there, and you know, have you found that the industry there is sort of like,
Yeah.
how have you dealt with that?
Yeah, I think I felt it more when I was younger because I had to live in Mumbai when my first album was coming out. And I realized I'm sort of an inch away from calling myself English at this point.
Right.
Because there's being British, and yes, I'm British, but I'm also so English in some ways. And
Do you mean culturally?
yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, obviously not like I don't look it.
No. But I just
don't
mean
look
because
it,
I feel like it's quite difficult, like we were saying,
Yeah.
to balance the British Asians sometimes of us, the British side and the Asian side. So do you mean that you just felt more British when you were in Mumbai?
Yeah, and as I said, it wasn't even British. It was like there was something very Englishy about me.
Okay.
Right? Like I like English food.
Yeah.
I like my jacket potato, cheese and beans, which I keep going on and on about in every interview.
Oh my God, you can come to my house anytime. That's one of my favourite dinners.
Thank you. And I really feel like one. And you know, I told you I grew up in Chelsea, and it's going to Mumbai was such a culture shock. Not because I didn't enjoy it and I couldn't live there. I can. But it was like the industry is really slow. Everything takes time. The monsoon really gets in the way of things at times.
Yeah.
Did you have anyone with you while you were there at that time?
I mean, my dad's family lived there, but I wasn't living. At first, I was living with them.
Okay.
But it was too far a commute to where the label was. So then I moved to Bandra side.
Okay.
And so I had roommates, 2 female roommates. They were brilliant.
Oh,
They were
glad.
lovely. I mean, I had a lot of fun.
Okay.
But it's just, I realized that I was born in the UK, and that does mean something. It means you're used to a certain style of behavior, you're used to a certain kind of schooling, you're used to doing business a certain way, you're used to just interacting on a daily basis in a certain way. It's different.
That's fair enough. I kind of understand where you're coming from, but when you returned back, did you find that weird because you'd lived in a different country that obviously, like you said, because you felt, I don't know whether you would describe it as feeling a little bit out of place because you were used to that British mentality or the English mentality. But when you came back, did you have more of a realization then that, oh my God, home kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I after about a year and a half in Mumbai, I couldn't do it. I would have had to change so much. And I love India. Like, if it comes to a cricket match, India versus England.
Why not?
I'm only going one way and it's Bharat all the way, right? So this is nothing against India. But it was, when I looked at the kind of person I would suit in life if I'm in a relationship or I was dating, it wasn't going to be someone from there. The culture was so different in terms of expectations and the way we did things. Secondly, things like food and where you might want your kids to go to school or how you might want to bring them up. Things like that. It is different. We are a mix. We are not Indian. We aren't. Like, you can't say that. Yes, ethnically we are. Our origins are Indian. But when you're born here, you have to embrace what you are. And then I lived in New York for 6 years. And I absolutely, I have a green card, I belong to America. Technically, every time I land in the US now, they're like, welcome home. I'm like, thanks.
How does that feel?
It's really, do you know what? It's really funny.
Okay.
Because it makes me laugh every time. But I think it's so cute. Yeah. Because only Americans do stuff like that, right? Nobody in the UK, when I land in Heathrow, like, welcome home.
Absolutely.
Like,
they're probably like, ice rating, I hate this.
Yeah, they're just like,
here you go.
Well, firstly, it's automated for us.
Oh yeah, that's,
right?
we don't even have to.
You don't even have to tell anyone. Yeah,
don't anyone. But I think it's really cute. But I realised that living in America, although I could easily live there.
Okay.
I could spend my life there. And I keep, for a while, I was supposed to move back to New York. I haven't moved back yet. And it's a difficult decision because their culture is similar to ours. But you realise, again, that if you're British, you're British.
You're British, yeah.
Like, our jokes are amazing. Our sense of humour.
I love it.
We're so self-deprecating.
Yeah.
We're just, I don't know. We're so miserable.
I was just about to say the misery of being
but we like
British.
it.
I feel like the weather rubs off on us.
And we're so real. I find us culturally so real and grounded and kind of salt of the earth. I mean, I might be exaggerating here. Someone might be wrong.
I'm not going to disagree.
No.
Definitely not disagreeing with you.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
But so like you said, you're a singer, you're a dancer, you're also like a motivational speaker, and you've done, God, so much. I was reading your bio, and it's just like, you had a chat, you spoke at the Harvard Business School.
Only because I went there.
It was still something that was incredible. Yeah. I think you were part of hosting the Indian Film Festival in New York.
I was hired as the host. Yeah.
It was just how did all of that come about, from going from being within, like, in the music industry to all of a sudden having this stage where, I mean, I can completely understand why, like,
absolutely,
like from our conversation that we're just literally having, I'm just like, I just want to listen to you all day. But like, how did that all come about for you?
So, funnily enough, the public speaking came about the same time actually as singing.
Oh, okay.
Because I used to do public speaking competitions at school as part of the Corporation of London. They run something. And I still remember my headmistress, I think she might have been mortified. I'd reached the final of some competition and you had to open a piece of paper and you didn't know what it was going to say. It was just going to be a topic, and then you had to...
It sounds like a Bollywood sketch.
Sounds like...
Yeah. And it was... flattery will get you anywhere. And I was like, absolutely.
Oh.
Flattery will get you everywhere. And I think my headmistress was like, oh. I'm like, just tell them they're hot. And I don't know what I was going on about. But I started public speaking from a young age, and I really enjoyed it. And so when my album came out, I actually was simultaneously doing public speaking. It just didn't become such a big thing until maybe my mid-20s, because you have to mature into your voice.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like I've been extremely immature in this podcast, but
No,
I am more
absolutely
mature
not.
when I'm motivational speaking. Also, motivate. Not that I hate that term, but I feel like when you say that you're a motivational speaker, it almost sounds like you figured things out, and so you're now preaching, and I don't believe in that.
So how would you like that term to be? What would you like to be described as when you were talking about your public speaking?
I haven't thought of the right phrase as yet. I think I'm a devotional speaker.
Devotional speaker.
I'm the devotional voice.
Love
it.
Yes.
Because to be honest, like everything that underpins what I believe in is love. That's my main thing. And love for yourself, as love for others, and then love for just consciousness and how beautiful and chaotic this world is. And I think when I am speaking, all I'm doing is sharing my perspective, and a perspective that comes from someone who has seen both the good and the bad, and who's made a lot of mistakes. And I am humbled by life. And so when I speak to others, I'm not telling anybody that they should do things the way I do them. I'm merely saying, this is what I've learned, and this is where I've gone wrong. So try and not go wrong the same way I have. But also figure out what's important for yourself. Figure out what you believe in. Figure out where your principles, your values lie, and find your own voice.
Mm.
And if you can do that, you're miles ahead of anyone. And that's something I'm trying to do every day. This is a work in progress. And I believe the people who speak are the people who need to learn the most. I genuinely feel that way. I think it's very easy to preach. It's very difficult to live. And often those who are most successful, can you say that? Is that English? Who are successfully living actually don't need to say much at all.
God, I could actually listen to you all day. Like, it literally, as you've just been talking, both me and Amrita have been like nodding our head. Absolutely, that
it's
makes
true.
so
but
much
I think
sense.
my nods were because you've actually said a lot of what we spoke about in the first season, actually.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to ask you. So we've spoken about stuff like, does being a strong woman go against you, or can it be seen as a weakness, or do British Asian women? Why do British Asian women, I'm not going to say do they, but why do they find it difficult putting themselves first?
Mm.
So in a little while ago, you spoke about boundaries and stuff like that. So for you, as a British Asian woman and being a devotional speaker or a devotional voice, or even just being confident in your own self at any given point of time, even if your self-esteem has been low, has being British Asian propelled that feeling? Or do you think it's kind of, sometimes you've kind of been stuck in the box of what we call as British Asian, that we instinctively, maybe because of our mothers or other people in our lives, have struggled with it? Do you struggle with putting yourself first, for example? Or do you struggle with the reactions you get when you are a strong voice in any environment?
Well, my mother would say no, because I think she thinks I'm very selfish. So my mom's like, it's always about me.
Isn't it funny how parents just love to interpret what you're actually doing?
So but I think it's an interesting question. I think the place that it has caused conflict has likely been my personal life.
Okay.
Because I'm an oxymoron in many ways, right? That you can't really define me or put me in a box. And we come from a culture where everyone is always trying to put us in a box. They are always trying to write a definition next to us that they can keep, that doesn't change, and that stays, right? And the problem with me, or I don't know if it's not a problem per se, but the issue is that I'm a bhajan singer, I'm religious, and so it's like, okay, so she's a nice, good Gujarati girl. Okay, hold on. She's outspoken. She's outlandish with her views. She is really, she's career driven. She's ambitious. She doesn't hold back. She's not going to be a dainty housewife.
Or a damsel in distress.
Yes.
Or a damsel in distress. How does that fit in with the religious, bhajan singing, vegetarian, quite morally astute woman that I am?
I think, but it's true. People do see that as a conflict.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
And the way that you're being spoken about is, saying that being career driven is a bad thing. Saying that you're outspoken instead of, no, you stand up for what you believe in and you stand up for your morals and you stick by them. Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
It's so true.
And I get it from all angles, right? So I've had people say to me, when they've set me up with someone, right? They've said to me, can you be less? Like, so he doesn't get scared or intimidated.
Oh, come on, but he needs to know
because
the
you've
real
achieved
you.
too much.
Oh my God.
Like, you've done too much. You've gone to too many, don't mention Harvard or don't mention that you do this or that. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? Just be a little less. It's impossible.
No, but it's impossible because if you are going to spend your life with someone, you're not going to be less for the rest of your life.
Why do you have to
So
be?
why do you need to be less
I'm
in
sorry.
in that point? That's so weird.
Has someone said that to him? Would if let's say the tables were turned?
Of course not.
Exactly.
Of course not.
He's
Right?
probably
Sorry.
told be as
Oh
the
my
most
God,
that you
look
can
at me.
be.
Right?
I have a bank account. Sorry.
Well, exactly, right? But then I also, what's funny is I also get so Indian men are quite interesting, right? Because they want someone who's well educated. We can't be too smart. They want someone who's hot, but they can't take attention away from them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, honestly, they've been given too much ghee in their rotli. Because it's like, they have all these parameters. And so a lot of people would be attracted to me, but then they don't want someone who's famous, or they don't want someone who's all over Google, or, they like the idea of it, but they don't want the reality of it. Or they assume that I am a certain way. So they're going to be like, well, she's not going to be the person who's going to cook, or she's not going to have time for the kids, or she's not going to do that. And the irony is that I'm actually pretty traditional.
Yeah.
I am actually someone who will make sure there's food on the table. And I am actually someone who will, take a backseat to bring up my kids because I want to be there for them. But
I think
they won't see that about me.
It comes from, I think it's also, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying all men are like this and all Gujarati boys are like this. I'm not saying that. But I feel like...
Gujarati boys are
Shivali can say it.
Shivali can say it.
I'm joking. Oh my God.
But
You're going to see my Instagram followers. They're going to literally drop to zero.
Absolutely not. But I think it also comes from a place of they want, as long as it serves them, it comes from that place of, okay, if this doesn't serve me, because I've had, and I've spoken about this on the podcast, I've had, to put it lightly, I've had plenty of friends who are guys who are wonderful, wonderful friends. As friends, they're just absolutely wonderful. But when it comes to being in relationships, especially when we were in our 20s and stuff like that, they would just be these awful, awful people. And I'm like, why are you being like this? It would be for really silly reasons, and it would all come down to the fact that she's not serving me in a way that I expect her to serve me. And it's like, well, that's not what she's there for.
Exactly.
That
What are you doing to serve her?
What are you doing to serve her?
That.
What are you gonna, But it's because we are taught as girls, as women, we're taught everything you do is for for when you get married since a very young age.
Right.
If you don't know how to cook, what are your in-laws going to say? What are you going to do for your husband?
In our generation, especially, we're stuck.
Yeah.
Right? Because we belong to the new generation where we're all very well educated and we're career women and we're driven and we can pay our own bills. But we also belong to that other generation, the last of that other generation, where you did have that pressure that you are not someone unless you are settled down. You are frowned upon, you are treated differently, you're not invited to certain things. Every woman thinks you're going to steal their husband. Like, you're just, you're really just, I honestly, like, half the women that, like, half, like, the men that have to, like, block me on LinkedIn and all this kind of, just because, like, and I'm like, I'm not interested.
Also, you're just being friendly.
Yeah.
Like, I think there are several issues, right, in our society. A, women need to back each other far more. Like, we need to cut the jealousy, the insecurity, the backstabbing. Like, when we say we support one another, it can't be just from going on marches and putting a women empowerment post that basically features yourself and your face. And it has to be genuine support behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, be nice, be kind to one another. Because, men have this bro code between them and it works really well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And if women can do that for each other,
Absolutely.
then men will do it towards women. But if women cannot even treat each other with the respect and love and kindness that they deserve, why should men? Why would men do it? Right? They're not even seeing that friendship between women, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, I think that plays into it. And I had another great point, and I've forgotten what it was. I went off on this.
No, but you're absolutely right. Is that the fact that, like, I think it's also, we're also in terms of, because of the way that our lives have always kind of been about, especially with British Asian girls, British Asian women, it's always been about, since we were little, getting married and serving someone else who, some other magnificent person who really, I mean, they're just humans as well, the family that you get married into. This whole thing about that is, it's almost as though other women are like your competition. And it's never seen as sort of like, no, we almost like pitted against each other. And it's like, well, no, you're not pitted against each other. You can go for careers and you can do things and have space that, like I said before, like being able to be in the same space and being able to support each other in that way. And it's true, like, when women come together, there's so much more progress rather than, like what if there isn't a complete if you just don't like someone because they've got something that you want, the best way to put it is, instead of seeing them as competition or seeing someone who you need to be envious of, see them as inspiration. See them as, okay, what did they do and how can I learn from that?
I think it's, and I don't want to sort of rely on this too much, because the way you've been brought up, you can, in a way, you can choose what you feel you want to be influenced by. Yeah, but absolutely. I feel like sometimes in the British Asian culture, we are aligned to think that person is better, or it's the comparison of it. And we do that on social media, like we said as well. We just compare ourselves, and it's a natural thing to compare yourself to someone. Yeah. But as you say, if you are allies, the comparison, in a way, you can compare, like you said, you can compare. But if I wanted to be like you, I should be able to work on myself to get to that stage. I don't think we're there. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think we're there. Also, you're never going to be like anyone else. There's just no point.
No.
Just
it's a waste of yourself.
Be the best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
Compare yourself to yourself and compete with yourself. And if you are experiencing envy or jealousy by looking at someone, remove them. Don't look at them, because you're not giving them great energy. And when you're not giving someone positive energy, or you're giving them like bad vibes, those boomerang back to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. And I think the other point I was going to say was, I know we've spoken about, okay, we're brought up in this culture that we feel we have to serve someone and blah blah blah. But actually, service in itself is a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's something that our culture has that I love. I love the idea that a relationship is based on you serving each other.
Yeah.
Right? The point is that it's supposed to be each other. And I think that message has been lost.
Yeah.
Right? Through hundreds and hundreds of years. And you can go back to prior British invasion in India, you go to the Mughal era, and you look at the influences of the Mughals on Indian culture, and we moved away from what was a matriarchal society where everything revolved around the mother goddess and Mataji and things like that, into what was a very male dominated and driven world, and sort of women were put down over hundreds and hundreds of years. But actually that act of service and love and giving is beautiful, because now what's happening is we're slipping into a society where social media obviously illustrates that everything is about me and how I look. And also everything is also about like, well, what am I doing for me, and how am I promoting myself, and what am I giving to myself, and what are they bringing for me? And it's like, no, like give. The more you give, the more powerful you feel. So when you meet someone, do think about what can I give to them.
Absolutely.
Because I'm whole and I'm full within myself. I don't need anything from anyone. Right? So I feel like we need some of that.
It's a give and
service
take,
attitude.
isn't it, as well? Like, obviously do care for yourself, but it's also, it is nice to care for other people as well. Having that. And also those people will care for you too. So it's not just down to you doing everything for yourself.
Absolutely.
But this has been absolutely
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We've got an end segment.
Yes.
It's like a this or that.
Yeah.
This or that.
This just to round it off in a nice.
How do we play this? How's this or that?
So we all have we have
Good.
a few this or that questions which we've prepared.
Okay.
And if you could just choose, and
Just
you
choose
can
one.
give your justification if you like for the choice you're making.
Okay.
And that's basically it.
Okay.
Just to get to know maybe a slightly different side of you.
Okay.
It's very light-hearted, don't worry.
I'm an open book.
Cool. So I'll start.
Go for it.
Okay, cool. So I don't know whether you'll be able to make a choice between this one, but London or New York?
London.
Yay!
Yes. Right. Going out or staying in?
Is it the weekday or the weekend?
Whatever you want it to
there's a
be.
caveat.
Okay, going out weekend. Okay, weekend.
Going out.
Weekday.
Staying in.
Excellent.
I love that. So this one, again, I don't know if you'll be able to choose, but I think for me, this question is more about the journey that you took on them. So Pigeon Project 1, the first one, or the second one?
As in the latest one?
Yeah. Is in your personal journey when you were recording or whatever it is.
Version Project 1.
That's nice. I think the first one's always
That's
special,
the
right?
first. It's like your first child. No one else cares about that.
Oh.
I'm an only child, so I can say this.
High five to you.
I've got two
only
little
child
children here. Middle child here. I mean,
I
beat to my own drum, so it's all right.
I don't know what to say.
Okay, books or like film and TV.
Books.
Excellent, love it.
Oh, wow, that was so easy.
Every day.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the easiest.
Okay, the final one is, do you prefer upbeat music or soothing music?
Ooh. You can't ask a musician that.
Because it's your personal preference, not what you perform, but what you listen to.
Yeah, but it depends, right?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, that's really hard. I mean, we'll go with upbeat.
Okay.
We'll go with upbeat.
Amazing.
Right, I've got one more.
Yeah.
City breaks or beach holidays?
These are really hard.
We love a beach. Love
Beach.
it.
I love
Love
the
it.
Oh, we live in city, right?
We do.
It's
Exactly.
true. We can enjoy city anytime.
Anytime. But
Yeah.
beach holiday is always something special.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you so much, Shivali.
So much.
Yeah. So for you guys.
Okay.
So
Are you going to throw one back?
yeah.
Amazing. I love
it. So podcast production
Okay.
or publication, right?
Oh.
Is that to both of us?
Yeah.
Both of us. I don't
You
know.
can go first.
Oh, this is hard.
Okay, I'll go first. I think for me, even though everyone sort of, like, misses my reviews or whatever it is, I think podcasts, because I like speaking and I've not done a lot of radio.
Okay.
But I think I'd choose a podcast.
I think I'd go for podcast too.
Yeah.
For those people who know me, I know they know I love to chat. So this is perfect.
Okay.
And also, I feel like because this is ours.
Yeah.
It's more sort of, it belongs to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 more.
Okay.
Indian clothes or Western clothes?
Oh God.
Indian.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go for Indian.
I enjoy
too.
dressing in
We
Indian.
need to start wearing them. Can we bring it back? Can we wear like chanya cholis every day?
So,
When we walk in the
I
street?
don't
you know
know
what?
if I
It's
do
really
it.
so good. But
I love
okay,
that.
but
I love the image in my head of that.
Can you imagine going to work in like, a little sari?
Nice.
Although I have actually, when in one of my previous jobs, I went like, it was Diwali on the day and I couldn't get the day off. So I was like, all right, fine. So I wore like a Punjabi suit and I was just
I did that once
Nice.
in one of my jobs, actually. Yeah. It was
But yeah, I
Diwali.
think Indian, absolutely. I think I actually feel my best when I'm in India.
Yeah,
Me too.
same.
Me too.
Yeah.
I feel my best when I feel I'm my nicest when I'm wearing Indian clothes.
I mean,
I love that.
I think it's true. It must be because we're like, wear a sari, suddenly you behave well.
Yeah,
Or
maybe.
something.
It could be, yeah, the traditional way.
Suddenly I
absolutely.
become like, I'm all about seva, I'm
Switch.
all about I'll bring you the tray. It's just like, maybe it's Bollywood as
maybe
well.
it's Bollywood.
Okay, last
Yeah.
one,
Last one.
Nando's or Pizza Express?
You know what?
I'll let you go first on this one. I've gone first twice now.
Okay, I will
On
go
you.
for. Alright, I will go for Pizza Express. Why? Because they do a banging chocolate fudge cake.
I just had it 2 days ago. Me and Arjun were just having the chocolate fudge
This is
cake.
not funny. I think I'd probably choose Nando's. But I am a veggie.
Ooh, I'm veggie too.
But I think
Okay.
I'd probably choose Nando's over pizza.
It's also Pizza Express do like really good gluten-free pizzas.
Pizza Express pizzas, I think, are the best.
Yeah.
They're so good.
But I'd still choose Nando's.
Okay.
Before you go,
Well done, ladies.
thank you. Before you go, is there anything you would like to plug?
Or
Oh.
share, yeah.
Share, yeah.
Oh, I have a book that you can sign up for on my website. Haven't finished writing it yet. It's called Pocket Philosophy, so you can sign up for that. And
That
then
sounds so good.
That's it. Listen to the Budgeon Project too.
Listen
Listen
to
to
it.
it.
Listen
Yes,
to
please
everyone.
do.
Please,
Listen to
everyone.
Give it to your mums, dads, your partners, everyone.
Everyone.
In-laws will love it. Get into their good books.
Excellent. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for coming on today. We have had so much
Yeah,
fun.
It's been so lovely
This has
talking
been
to you.
so nice. And you've given our listeners so much to think about. And
You've given
just
us so much to think
so
about,
much.
actually.
I know, absolutely. So yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to go look for a jack potato now.
Excellent.
Oh, that's true, actually. Now I've got a jacket.
And thank you guys all for listening and watching. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and
You can email us. There's an
Email us
email
as
address via our Instagram. And we also want to say thank you to DJ Shy Guy who did our jingle.
Did our jingle.
And we will catch you next time. But
Bye.
remember,
Oh yeah,
we don't want to keep it in.
we want to
Voice
voice
it
it
out.
out.